we should be live any minute here. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic Podcast. I'm really excited about my guest today. She's back. The amazing Gemstone Gina returns to the Typical Skeptic Podcast for a morning episode of live gemstone readings and Dragon Dreams energy work. We'll explore shamanism, dream alchemy, multidimensional healing, and storytelling, how it can shift timelines and heal the soul. Expect intuitive messages, gemstone magic, and profound transformations, one of the most unique voices in metaphysics. Gina Virginia Casella is a spiritual biz entrepreneur and the visionary behind the Dragon Dreams Soul Tribe Collective, the Dragon Dreams Oracle, and the Story Species Story Medicine. Through her results-driven practice, Gina specializes in mind reprogramming, energy medicine, and transformational storytelling for those seeking permanent, pervasive, and powerful change. Her work bridges dream alchemy and conscious evolution, empowering clients to rewrite their Akashic story and reclaim their birthright as the master scribe of their life. Using the Gnome King's gemstones in her Dragon Dreams Oracle, she performs psychic gemstone readings, energy field investigations, and healing modalities such as entity extractions, cord cutting, soul retrieval, and chakra elimination. You can book Gina for a reading or any of her offerings. Like she does rapid transformational therapy, RTT, hypnosis, and you can book that as well at GinaVirginiaCasella.com. And I'd like to give her a big warm welcome back to the show. Gina, thanks so much for coming back on. How are you?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Rob. Thank you so much for having me back. It's my pleasure to be here. It's good to see some familiar folks in the chat. I'm not able to join the chat at this time, but I can see it. Something about a hummingbird sound. I don't know. I've got good sound on my end.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. It could have been my computer getting a humming sound. I don't know. I got to get a new computer. So, but yeah. So anyway, Gina, so tell us. You're in shamanism school. Like, I don't think the audience knows this yet, or at least my audience doesn't know. Like, how's it going, and
Right.
what's going on with this?
That's the thing, with me, there's always something going on. So those of you who are not familiar with me, we definitely need like 500 hours, but you know what? Visit GinaVirginiaCasella.com. You can learn all about me and my story. Make a very long story short, I was a public school teacher for 20 years, had a phenomenal career. At one point, my health took a hit. I didn't realize it, that I was living a fear-based scarcity mindset lifestyle. My life was very fear-driven, and like most folks out there, I made the best out of it. So I did what my mind does best, and that's tell myself lies. I lied to myself. My mind, your mind, its number one job is to protect you, even if it means creating false inhibiting beliefs that keep you stagnant and stuck and in these repeating patterns. So it's just so frustrating. And so I became a hypnotherapist because that's how much of an interest I was taking in the subconscious mind. And this business of the rules of the mind really are an eye-opener because they contradict each other. The more you learn about them, they piss you off because they contradict each other. What was I saying? Your mind's number one job is to protect you, even if it means creating false inhibiting beliefs. Like, how is that even possible, right? But it's true. That's what our mind's number one job is, to move us from pain towards pleasure. So people who have addictions and whatnot, that's exactly what's going on. Your mind is doing its number one job, protecting you, lying to you. So that was one big piece there. So Rob's audience on Typical Skeptic Podcast, you met me a year ago, and that's what I was doing, right? And so I also have a history of having experiences with the supernatural, paranormal, and that was all part of my presentation that I made at the Full Disclosure Now conference. So having interesting dreams my whole life, it was very cute and normal when I was a small child, but somewhere around age 4 or 5, it wasn't cute anymore. It was confusing. I grew up Roman Catholic, and so everything that I knew just was falling apart. When I was in grade 2, 2 angels came out of my wall, and I made an assumption that they were angels. Your mind's number one job is to protect you, so I lied to myself. And this actually haunted me. This was far from oh, holy angels, thank you for visiting me. It was not like that at all. After that experience, I continued to have all kinds of interesting experiences, but nothing rocked my world. And that's why when folks are talking about Bigfoot stories, it's like, who am I? I'm just another person telling another story. I have no evidence or proof. And so Soul Tribe is very important to me. And it's also very important to me to share our stories because we're a story species. Our logical mind demands a beginning, a middle, and an end. This business of the hero's journey, I can't stand the hero's journey. Why? Because it's the story of the triangle of disempowerment. So you learn, if you're doing your homework and embracing your spiritual autonomy, that, you know what, the roles we take on, teacher, shaman, baker, those are just roles. They do not define us. And there's a lot of folks out there like myself who had a blurred sense of identity. I became my roles. Why? Because of fear-based scarcity mindset. And I wasn't living my life. I, at one point, started to believe that I was evil. And so I became obsessed with the subconscious mind and obsessed with, like, what the hell is wrong with me? Why am I experiencing all this stagnation and keeping myself stuck? And I'd wake up super early in the morning and I would just cry. And it led to dream journaling and a strong connection with my spirit guides. Um, I I have interesting connections with these folks across the street on top of the trees. They, I'm just distracted here by the chat. Everyone's in Halloween mode. Happy Halloween and time zones. Um, I'm just going to just let me know if anybody has any questions for me, Rob. There we go. So I needless to say, I have lots of interesting experiences. And for most of my life, I thought something was wrong with me. There's absolutely nothing wrong with me. And I had to face and conquer my own fears because the more that I engaged in my own healing, I realized that things like ghosts are real. It's not just spirit. This business of demons, evil spirits. I don't like to get hung up on language or categories, but there is a such thing as mind reprogramming. That's real because you can do it to yourself and you can brainwash others based on epigenetics. Epigenetics you can't control, right? But we are also part of somebody else's epigenetics. So how I'm acting is going to influence my environment, and my environment, however that is unfolding, is going to be influencing me. The other day, I did lemon suggestibility testing. Everybody was making sour faces and whatnot. Where's the lemon?
What's that mean, Gina? I'm sorry. What's that? What did you call it? It was something testing.
Suggestibility testing. So I just finished hosting a promo. It was 4 days, and every day I did something a little different. I showcased something that I do. And on one day, I was showcasing hypnotherapy and the power of the mind. Really great technique to fall back on is lemon suggestibility testing. There's other suggestibility testing, but I like the lemon one. It's a personal favorite because there's a point to be made about how powerful your mind is. Because everybody is making sour faces and whatnot. People are like, oh, I feel it in my teeth. Where is the lemon? I did not show a picture of the lemon. I don't have a lemon. It's all based on your mind power and the memory and sensations of the lemon in your mind. And that's the point, because how you think and feel is so important and so powerful that every single thought is followed by an emotional response, an emotional reaction. And that emotional reaction is at the cellular level, literally influencing your biology. So how you think and feel is so important that it actually creates ailments or it inspires healing. So this business of the rules of the mind and healing and creating your, like, I was just such really embracing this. And then energy medicine practitioners training, Alberto Villoldo's 4 Winds shamanic training. That's where I acquired my energy training. And I really loved it. I think everybody should take it just for the sake of taking it for your own personal growth. But it was quite profound because Alberto doesn't hold back on the truth. He talks about things like intrusive entities, and he talks about things like evil spirits, and really, they're not evil. In my opinion, it's a mental illness. And we talk about things like vampires and looshers, but we don't use that language. And when we remove the words, remove the nouns, and just focus on the details and the greater themes, these are quite ancient and primordial. And when I think about dream alchemy and dream symbolism, all of this comes into play. So I know today is Halloween and people are feeling spooky and whatnot, but for me, every day is Halloween. Every day is the spirit world. Every day is the ghosties. And you know what? It really pisses me off because I think, like, all of us know, we all know what it's like to feel perverted. We know what it's like, even if somebody isn't actually touching us from a distance, just the way people look at us, we feel perverted and invaded. On an energetic level, we have this kind of stuff going on that we may or may not even be aware of. So when it comes to, let me rewind here for a moment. When you want to engage on your journey and your healing, you can identify presenting issues and engage in mind reprogramming. So how do you know you need mind reprogramming? Well, when everything else has failed, whether you're trying to lose weight or maybe make that speech that you wanted to make, whatever it is, it's not happening. It's never going to happen. Why? Because the programming up here, it's set in stone. Your mind's number one job is to protect you. What is familiar keeps you safe, even if it's not good for you. So good luck with that. So you know you need mind reprogramming if you keep, like, walking into the same wall over and over again, right? But here's the thing. What if mind reprogramming isn't working? That's the next indicator that you've got an intrusive entity. Now, don't get hung up on the language, intrusive entity, hard extraction. I can review what those mean, but you basically have an energy in your temple, in your house, that has no business being in there. And I've heard about this kind of stuff before. Book 8 is all about looshers, vampires. Even myself, as in book 8, I'm presented as a 3-year-old ghosty girl. And I'm wondering in book 8, am I a loosher? Even though I'm not one of the bad guys, am I looshing off of other people's happiness? Is this some kind of symbiotic relationship? So there's all these questions that I always am asking, but in my real life, it's bridging with my waking life. Yes.
So do you think that there are cases of that where there are entities and they're actually like parasitically feeding off us, but they don't realize it? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
so
So
it's something that,
all
yeah.
intrusive entities are just like parasites. They cannot survive unless they're feeding off of you. So I get really passionate because I didn't realize until I actually took the energy medicine training and we talked about this kind of stuff. I'm disgusted, right? Can you, like, you can't see it, but if you could see it, if you could see a feeding tube hooked onto you, going way out into outer space, wherever, and somebody sucking off your, like, you would not have that, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't allow it. You would never allow somebody to randomly go into your room and start redecorating your furniture. So why would you allow an intrusive entity inside your mind redecorating, reorganizing your thoughts? So I get really passionate about this. Like, it's one thing for you to require some mind reprogramming. It is another, I don't care who it is, to be in your personal space and feeding off of you. They are parasites. It's not like a parasite. And so what is an intrusive entity? Well, it's basically a person that used to be alive and they're dead. So what happened? Well, they didn't die consciously. They didn't die saying, I love you. They didn't die saying, I forgive you. A lot of these intrusive entities, they experienced a lot of trauma and they died in that moment of trauma, and they don't even know that they're dead. So each intrusive entity is a case-by-case scenario in itself, why it's an intrusive entity. Sometimes they've had addictions and stuff like that, and they really genuinely don't understand that they're dead, and they cling to you. Who is that? Typically children, because children are open, and then they just stay with you for like ever into your adulthood, even into your next life. Right? That pissed me off too. These intrusive entities will stay with you into your next life. Like, excuse me? There's also intrusive entities that, because of trauma, they got so spooked and freaked out and scared that they literally jumped out of the body. So the biological one might have died because maybe a gunshot or somebody threw a stone or whatever, but the spirit part didn't cross over. It just leaped out of the body, and some people call this soul loss. And then the soul is literally like lost on this planet. They don't know the maps home. So they'll cling to you. And very interesting too, a lot of intrusive entities, most of them are actually family members, including parents, grandparents, even deceased children can present as an intrusive entity for lots of reasons. And so I initially was like pissed off, but now I come from a place of a non-judgment. I come from a place of indifference, because the intrusive entities that I have personally extracted, it's not like in the movies at all. They genuinely didn't know they were intrusive. They didn't mean to, and they're very on board with being ushered out. It's like, no problem. Then there's intrusive entities that, myself personally, in this life, as part of my healing journey, I used to say things like, I have a life worth living and my life matters. I have the right to live. Well, very sadly, the past lives have also been belting those mantras. So when the past versions of me died, they were like, no, we're not dying. We're going to leech on to the next generation of Gina, because we have the right to live and we're not going anywhere. So I've had to explain to these entities that, no, you don't have the right to live. Maybe there was a time where you had the right to live and that right was imposed on. Maybe there was a time where your life mattered, but now that you are deceased, you are in a spirit energetic form, you are an intrusive entity. So you are like a parasite. Like, you have to explain it to them. And I actually had an entity removed that would not leave. And at one point, fake left my body. And then my colleague tested me again, and it was still there. And this, we actually had to call on Jaguar to help remove this entity, because this was at the level of mental illness. This entity didn't mean me any harm. And it's a really beautiful story, actually. So I don't know what year it was. I don't think there was a such thing as a year at this time. No one was counting. But it was before people. It was before planet Earth. and there was some kind of cat that was being experimented on and given people legs. And this cat didn't even know its own blood. It didn't know its own mind or anything, and got away. And then it got the spooks and it ran up a tree, and eventually it died, but it didn't understand that it was dead because it just clung to this tree. Well, wouldn't you know, that tree was part of my heart. So there's this little kitten cat with people legs that ran up a tree that's part of my heart and stayed up there. And so now every time I'm dying and incarnating, reincarnating, this little guy is part of me, because my heart, that tree, is the only safe place that it's ever known, and it doesn't want to leave, and it doesn't care that it's an intrusive entity. It doesn't trust. So it was with a lot of compassion that Jaguar had to come and remove that entity. And every time I go through these experiences, it just makes me feel that much more connected with our greater oneness. And this entity didn't realize it was living off of my life force. Like, part of me is like, why can't this entity just stay inside of me? Like, how complimenting is that to me, that this little people cat didn't know any safe place other than my heart? That was the part of the tree that it was in. Why can't it just stay there? Because it's a parasite. And so I can't be me fully unless all the past versions of me respectfully die and cross over, not just die, but cross over, so that I can inherit the high quality items, and whatever needs to be let go and in the past can go in the past. So it's just this greater beauty prayer that we belong to, and this greater cycling and composting that we all belong to. So intrusive entities are very real. Most of us have them. And intrusive entities can even pose as a spirit guide and even work with you and help you out, which makes it confusing. But once you identify that it is an intrusive entity, it has to go. I'm getting passionate clearly about this, but I also wanted to mention feeding tubes. It's like from a distance, they hook a straw to you. And there's also, like, let's say in a past life, somebody killed you with a gun, and that bullet is like a ghost still in your body. So you might have pain in your arm because that's where you got shot, but in your past life, that bullet wound was not taken care of. It carried with you. And so now you have to get what's done. It's called a hard extraction, a crystallized extraction. So you don't have to worry about any of this when you book a session with me. You just have to book a private with me. And it also is story medicine using the Gnome King's gemstones. And then I test your chakras and provide the appropriate services. And just even like, soul retrieval and whatnot. It's not pretty. It's not a pretty process. It's a very necessary process. And I do remind clients that your number one job is to protect you. And so even not liking me, hating me is very normal. We don't want to hear this. A couple weeks ago, I had an extraction done, and I was very bitchy. I didn't want to go to this meeting with my colleagues. And after, it's because I required an extraction, and we reflected on it, because that intrusive entity was trying to control the session. You see, if I got annoyed, and I even told my colleagues, I said, I'm feeling irritable, it's already been half an hour. That was the intrusive entity, not me. That was the intrusive entity trying to make me, the biological one known as Gina, confused, make me annoyed, maybe even make me annoy my colleagues. So they'll say, forget about you. And then what ends up happening? I don't get the service, and the intrusive entity wins. No way. So even if you don't want to book that service, You really need to book it, if not with me, with somebody. And a testament to blind spots. I mean, you can do lots of healing on your own. It's a great experience. And I feel like to really truly heal, you need to do it on your own. You need to go through those motions. You can't just read somebody else's story about how they healed. You need to live and breathe your own story. But at some point in your journey, you require somebody else to help you, because we have blind spots. And I'm just getting passionate again, because recently I worked with some folks, and these intrusive entities, like, if you look this way, the intrusive entity is right here. You know, if you're looking that way, intrusive entities here. You're looking up, intrusive entity is down. You won't see them. You will drive yourself crazy. You'll literally think that there's something wrong with you, when all of this time you have an intrusive entity. So, you know, and just like ancestral trauma and contracts, agreements that you made before you even incarnated here, what was up with those contracts? That was something I was passionate about before energy medicine. You know, if you're given two shitty choices, those are not choices. And a lot of us were given lots of shitty choices to choose from, and we created contracts based on those fear-based scarcity shitty choices. And now we have folks on, I don't want to say the other side, this side, the other side, both sides, I don't know anymore. But it's like, you have people like throwing our contracts in our faces, saying, this is what you said, this is what you agreed to. And that's my area of focus in the Dragon Dreams book series, is investigating what is going on here, because it just doesn't make sense. Even some of the families that some of us have been born into, were born into dangerous situations. Why would the universe buddy us? Like, there's something going on. So, yeah, I've been talking your ear off here, but I'm just checking the chat. There's some conversation about time zone, and people charging their phone and whatnot. Some happy Halloween.
You're at the beginning of the chat.
There's focus on yesterday's show. So yesterday's show sounds like a great show.
You're at the beginning of the chat. You're at the beginning of the chat. You got to go down. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because people always talk about stuff at the beginning. You know, people are talking about what you're talking about right now at the end of the chat. You know, like, you got to go.
I haven't seen the movie Daybreakers. Honestly, I don't watch scary movies. I can't handle them for the most part. It's that damn violin music. But you know what? Really, it's the psychology behind scary movies. It's not the blood and gore. It's the psychology. The Devil's Rejects. I watched that movie once. It's good enough, thank you. That movie terrified me. And that movie Legend with Will Smith also terrified me, because those stories, I feel, are real reflections. Hi, Matthew. Matthew's here today with us, and he says, I heard high quality items and suddenly appear. That's because you are a high quality item, Matthew. Pure gold. I don't know about seal.
J seals. J seals are like Indigo Angel talks about them. They're like seals that are in our body that that are, you know, placed there by entities, or like, you know, like reptilians, and like they're, you know, people get them removed. Like, there's like J seals. There's like I'm trying to think of what other seals there are. There's you know, I know she gets into it. Pink Bell Aloha gets into it. Like, it's yeah. And another one, like Barefoot Sunday just said, like the Jehovah's seals. You know, that's another one. She just asked you about that. She said, do you know anything about the Jehovah's seals or J seals for their removal? Maybe it means something.
I've never heard of the Jehovah's seals. But I can tell you with energy medicine, if you have anything that shouldn't be in your body on an energetic level, I can clear that out for you. So if it's an intrusive entity, if you have like a weapon from a past life, and I don't get hung up on nouns. I like when I do energy medicine work, I don't say, oh, this feels like a bullet, this feels like an arrow. This feels like something woody, this feels like something made out of steel. I don't know my ancient weapons, but most of the weapons are ancient. Most of us are walking around like porcupines with sticks and stones, arrowheads, very primordial old school weapons, because our trauma, that's how old it is. Something that came to my mind was chakras. So chakras, right? So your energy and the light enters, your spirit enters your body through chakras. So when you die, your soul energy leaves your body, and then your chakras are just there. And ideally, somebody would administer the last rite. Anybody can do that, but the last rite, you close the chakras. And that way it tells the soul, this body is no longer available to you. It's closed, and it's time for you, the spirit, to now go off to wherever you go. And don't quote me. I don't know if it was the Buddhists or monks, but some folks sometime long ago, they would have rice for dinner, and they would eat at the dinner table. And whenever somebody died, they would make them dinner, this bowl of rice, but they would put it off to the side on the floor because they were concerned that they wouldn't know if they were dead or not. So the idea was that if they saw the bowl of rice on the floor, then they knew that they were dead, and then they could cross over. So just this business of seals reminded me of chakras opening and closing. And then something that I did not learn in energy medicine school, that I just think about, is technology. Because I have really interesting dreams about this Navy called the Great Galactic Navy, and not the guns type. And initially I thought that was a good thing, because I thought, oh, like, they're the social emotional type. They use words. They're very mature, solving problems. And then it's like, actually, they're utilizing emotions as a weapon. And for myself personally, I was so scared of spirit and the ghosties. I've come a long way, okay? That I realized I'm afraid of spirit. I'm afraid of this other technology thing that's going on that is getting confused with spirit, because people, I don't want to say people, folks, are playing God and confusing. And anyway, that's just something that I'm passionate about. So when I think about energy, think about all of that stuff. It said to click to read more, so I'm just clicking on that. Embedded crosses from a past time as a Catholic. Yeah, so if you have embedded crosses, Spider Bite, do you mean like somebody hit you, stabbed you, penetrated you with a cross, or did something like have a cross installed into your biological programming? That would be called a crystallized extraction. So what that means basically is that this cross, or any object, it can be anything, out of any material, anything that goes inside your body or around your body, that's what's interesting, around your body, can impact your physical health. So you just book an appointment with somebody like myself, And I literally do what's called tracking. I work with Jaguar, and I would feel your energy body for whatever objects, in your case, embedded crosses from a past time as a Catholic, and I would remove that. And it's just like surgery, except I'm not using any knives, right? There's no blood involved. It's me, and it's very, I do this with great reverence. It is such a privilege because unlike an intrusive entity, I'm not being intrusive. With your permission, I enter your energy field. So I enter your temple. That is, I mean, that is intimate. And I remove what I need to, and I even cauterize it. It's just like a surgery, except I'm reaching for my incense. I don't even have it burning right now, but I take my incense and I have a feather and I cauterize your wound. It's a really special process. And if you have an intrusive entity, I test for that as well, remove them. I hope that answers your question. I tend to get passionate and a bit ahead of myself here. And I just forgot it. My glove, I have to keep taking that off to click down here. And Barefoot Sungazer saying, just for kicks, check into it if you ever have the time. I have a feeling the info will really resonate with you big time. Are you talking about I'm brain farting it out in this moment. Those things, whatever they were called in the body, but
seals.
I feel like yes. I will have to check those out because I've never heard of them before, but I'm also at a point in my journey where I've really let go of categories and really letting go of nouns. I do a lot of things behind the scenes. I'm also training as a controlled remote viewer. It would be amazing to bring missing children and soldiers home one thing at a time here, right? I'm in the beginner's class. And letting go of nouns, letting go, because I'm realizing that I don't really know what I'm talking about. I'm realizing the power of the conscious mind to have a demand for a box, so that we can function all of our thoughts and understandings in. But then this shoebox tends to keep us inhibited and stuck. I was just getting passionate again there. And spider bait. Can you look at past lives? Absolutely. So looking into past lives, you would be you can do two things with me. You can do soul retrieval, which isn't pretty, and it's not just a one-off session. You would have to be like a returning client and see me monthly for that. There's so much work to do, even when I was doing my training, it's like, I already did this meditation. I already went on that guided journey. And it's like, no, you didn't. Not with the other ancestors that you got to meet. So you can look at past lives with energy medicine, or you can look at past lives with hypnotherapy. So if you're not sure what's going on, you just know that there's like bullshit going on, things are not in right relationship with you, I would take the energy medicine route. If you're like, this is my problem, I'm tired of having this problem. For example, maybe you can't lose weight, maybe you have a fear of flying, maybe you just can't make that speech, whatever it is, maybe you have itchy, rashy skin and you're like, when did this start? I would provide you with hypnotherapy services. So I would regress you and ask you, let's say you came to me because you have rashy skin and you've always had rashy skin your whole entire life. So I would get you under hypnosis and ask, when is the first time you had rashy skin? And your subconscious mind takes me back to that place. It could be in this life. It could be in a past life from just one life ago. It could be from 200 years ago. So it's interesting to me personally, because when I first started doing hypnotherapy, that's how I knew I was in right relationship, because clients were going into past lives and I wasn't expecting that. And I was really thrilled about it. And to be fair, I did ask, when is the first time? Barefoot Sun Gazer, also, I would love to book a session with you as soon as possible. And you are so special, and I need an entity extraction with you very, very badly, but I'm homeless in San Diego and I have no money. So, Barefoot Sun Gazer, take full advantage of my free promos. Make sure you get on those, and make sure you tune into the Typical Skeptic podcast. And also can find me on Michael Kopp's journey, Riding Through the Unknown, where I provide free services like gemstone readings and whatnot. And I'm actually always, it's something that I have a hard time with, finding testimonials. You know why? Because they're too personal. And Dan even was kind enough to come on the Typical Skeptic in the spring doing a testimonial, and he talked for like a good hour and a half, and it was awesome, but he really didn't talk about the personal information that came up in his testimonial, and that's the kind of testimonial that I need. So if you're interested in going live and sharing your experience, then I'm open to providing a free service in exchange, because there needs to be an energy exchange, that you would vulnerably showcase yourself, what it looks like and sounds like, and it's not like in the movies. So just keep up with looking out for freebies. And she says, Barefoot says that I need help very badly. I'm under serious attack. So I can totally relate with you there. It starts with checking out my website, GinaVirginiaCasella.com. And Fighter Bite, I just thought it might be like a sigil. Oh, okay. They just waved them over me and on my forehead. How would I know if I had one? So I don't want to get hung up on categories, but I'm pretty sure it's sigil. My understanding is that is it's not a doodle, but it's a little drawing, okay? And that little drawing is alive. It has an energy of its own, and it looks the way it looks because you could never capture it. So it looks like a 2D, 3D design shape, but really it's moving. And it's possible that and or anything was placed on you. So it's very possible that there's a technology out there that I'm personally not aware of. I don't dismiss anything these days, where maybe there's some kind of X or cross shape that's like poisonous, or it warps your thinking. I don't know. And somebody put that right on your forehead, and now you have that.
There's these entities that they say that they are able to put sigils on people, and what they do is then they use the sigils as a portal for entities to like portal into your body. Yeah.
Oh,
that's just a theory.
I never thought about that. That's a good idea on the entity's part, right? And it makes me think about bullying in the entity world.
Yeah.
Right? Like, is there some kind of, street like dealer going on? Because I'm telling you, without feeding off of your life energy, these things can't survive. So they're going to at some point be desperate. And what are you going to do about it? Well, maybe you can start offering favors, whatever that might look like, sound like, so that you can, that actually, as I'm talking, I'm thinking about book 8, because the looshers that present themselves and kill the children and loosh off of them, their leader comes, and their leader doesn't do any hunting. He just shows up when the meal's there and feasts. So, like, I'm just, I don't think it's synchronicity. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think it's good synchronicity that if I'm thinking it, that's probably what is going on. Some kind of gang member. This is the new way. And portals, like, how do people get from point A to point B? That's what I love about controlled remote viewing, because you're not supposed to get hung up on nouns for this exact reason. And it's very possible that when you're engaging in this kind of work, depending on who you talk with, they might intentionally try and mess you up because they want to get you away from, because you're getting closer and closer to figuring out the information. So they need to, like, confuse you and manipulate you and get your thinking away. So don't dismiss anything. Don't get hung up on categories. Hi, Kim Princess. She's tuning in here. I think I might have missed a comment. Hold on here. How would you know if you had one? Okay, yeah, just go back to that one. So you would know if you have one. Basically, if you're thinking and feeling it, you probably have one. And it's your subconscious mind communicating to you. And what is your conscious mind doing? And your subconscious mind, it's protecting you, denying all of this, telling you stories, right? You can test yourself with a pendulum. I get hypersensitive about pendulums because people start asking yes/no questions, like, just randomly and for serious things. You can get obsessed with it. So I always advocate to use your body as a dowser. But sometimes we need the perspective of spirit. And so if you can do what's called the pendulum promise and use the pendulum sparingly and only for this kind of stuff, and trust it, then you can test and ask yourself yes or no. Or you can book a session with me. Your thoughts, feelings, opinions, they attach, because everything is energy, and they're energy, so they feed off of energy. And Spider Bite says, if you get a stylus pen, you can keep your book. You know what? I have one, but it's way up at the top of the closet. I don't want to, go through my stuff and get it down, but I might have to. I had a pencil the other day and I was using the eraser. And there it says, I'm talking about the Jehovian seal removal. I understand you've let go of categories and nouns, but perhaps that's something an entity is telling you to do so that you don't feel you need to look. Yeah, that's a very good point. These folks can be sneaky for sure, because they don't want you to get rid of them, because then they can't feed off of you, right? But here's the thing. Nothing authentic can hide in the light, right? So it's kind of like putting the flashlight, the spotlight on something, and there's nowhere to hide. You can try and run all around the room, but here's the thing. You turn the light on in the whole entire room, so it doesn't even matter, the flashlight, the spotlight. The lights are on. There's nowhere to hide. I see you, right? That's freaky. So again, coming from a place of indifference, coming from a place of non-judgment, these entities, every single one that I personally have extracted from others, or entities that others have extracted from me, 100% of the time find peace. So what happens to them? They go inside my crystal, which I can show you here quickly. So This is a really special tool. So when I extract, this crystal costs more than $1,000.
Is that
I
a
don't like to
Vogel?
spend money on tools, and this was a tool that I needed to buy for this work. You
Is
can
that
get
a
them for
Vogel
a more
crystal,
affordable cost.
Gina? Gina, is that a Vogel crystal?
Yep. Yep. So it's really important. One side is skinnier, it's more narrow. One side is wider, and they both have the points. And when I did my energy medicine training, I actually asked about this. I said, you know what? Like, I actually became homeless. I had to let go of everything. I had to move in with my sister. Then I had to move in with my parents. This is all public knowledge. Like, I know what it's like to lose everything. And I didn't have any drug addictions. I was a public school teacher, the involved type, right? And like, how did this happen to me? Like, there's lots. I mean, maybe you can do a Q&A on my personal life another time, but knowing I had to part with so much stuff, and I wasn't even the material, I've never been the materialistic type, but just to part with literally like all my stuff except for a suitcase, my cat, and a couple of boxes. I didn't want to spend money on any tools, even my rattle. I thought, well, I could make my own rattle. Homemade is best made. And I was told, if you're gonna buy one thing, it's got to be the double pointed crystal. And in some worst case scenario, if I lost this, I got confiscated, I misplaced it, then I become the crystal. And back in the day, and even today, in the middle of like nowhere, where shamans are doing extractions, they don't have crystals. They're the crystal. They're the tool. And what ends up happening is the shaman becomes sick, and they would do stuff like throw up, representative of throwing up that entity. So this is a safe way to do it. It keeps you, the client, safe. It keeps me safe, and it keeps the entity safe. So the entity literally goes inside of here. Isn't that cool? It goes right inside of here, and you do it remotely, right? So we like hold hands and we jiggle it around a bit. And I'm not like the sweat, like we all get sweaty palms, right? But my hands get so sweaty, this almost slides right out. That's how I know that it's in there. And then it's just like an indescribable feeling. And I immediately sense the relief in the client. I sense the relief of the entity. And the session, like, this is how the session ends. And then I have it here, actually, just by coincidence. But I have a responsibility, accountability. So I've got some Epsom salt here, and I put some alcohol on there. So it burns hot, blue flame. It burns so hot, you almost can't even see the flame. And then I do special ceremonial things. And the entity, this is the punchline, the entity either goes up into outer space, if you will, with ancestors, and they go on a healing journey, or they go down into planet Earth, Pachamama, and they get transformed, transmuted back into the elementals, the earth, the air, the fire, the water. And those reasons are personal reasons, why they went up, why they went down. The entity may or may not communicate that to me, but every time I release an entity, it's just like the most special feeling ever. And I feel like I have more and more acquaintances, just like my own subconscious mind waking up when I'm looking for things. And I feel like these entities are becoming allies, if you will. And so clearly I'm just really passionate about it here. I lost my spot in the chat here. So I was really passionate about mind reprogramming. Then I became super passionate about energy medicine. But it seems like people are continuously interested in my gemstone readings, which is such a thrill for me. Those were a creation of my own making, based on dreams, half remembered, half misunderstood. Barefoot is saying, comment. Sometimes it just like the whole comment thing goes.
Yeah, this will have to be the last one because I gotta finish up after this. I
don't get this one here. Oh, I get it. Okay, there's 3 comments that go together. I just read the first one. So, yeah, don't get hung up on categories or comments. Listen to your subconscious mind. Jehovian Anunnaki seals. And sorry, Barefoot, you'll have to clarify for me. I think Barefoot is saying like, like somebody like me, I'm moving away from nouns, but there's a need to have nouns so that I can have a common language. Absolutely. And that common language, changing, alchemizing, I'm worried about that with tats, like tattoos being a weapon or used as a sigil. They could be. Thoughts are energy. Yes, they are. The negative ones definitely want to do everything they can to keep you from having your seals removed, because we for sure 100% all have them. If you are incarnated right now, you inherited. And Spider Bite is commenting exactly